So last Thursday, we had a really good opening game to start the 2021 NFL season. It actually felt like a playoff game for how good the action really was. Truth be told, before this game, I really thought the Bucs were going to slaughter the Cowboys and not look back. However, that obviously didn't happen, and it ended up being better than expected. In this video, I wanted to focus on Dak Prescott. He was great in this game, and he deserves a lot of credit even though his team lost. I'll give you the skinny on why that occurred later on, but I really want to highlight a few plays from Dak. Before we do, if you can do me a huge favor and like and subscribe to this channel, I'd greatly appreciate that. So anyways, as I mentioned before, Dak was pretty great in this one. Let's start this video by talking about my favorite play. This happened in the third quarter. It was 3rd and 4 from the Buccaneers' 48-yard line. The Cowboys are in shotgun, and before the snap, they motion Amari Cooper across the formation to the left side. He settles on the outside behind the line of scrimmage, so Dallas is actually in a shotgun bunch trips formation to the left. They end up running a play called sit glance. What happens in sit glance is that CeeDee Lamb will run the sit route at the 44-yard line, while Amari Cooper will run a glance route behind him. The goal of the sit route is to create a stretch on the linebacker and hopefully bait somebody out of position. Then, depending on what the coverage the defense is in, the glance receiver will make his adjustments. For example, if the defense is playing cover 2, the angle of the glance will be more vertical up the field. Meanwhile, if the defense is playing quarters, the glance will turn into a dig. That's what happened here. Now, if neither of these two receivers are open, Dak will then move on and check the drag and the comeback on the right as his backside options. Let's see what happened. At the top of Dak's drop, you can clearly see that 43 is covering the sit route well, so Dak knows to move on to the glance. Now, I want you to pay close attention to how Cooper broke on this route. Like I said before, he adjusted his route to run more like a dig. He released outside and vertical, which causes safety to drive towards the numbers, and then he put his foot in the ground and broke cleanly and horizontally back inside. By this point, the ball was already out of Dak's hand. The pass was placed perfectly low in front of Cooper, and he brought it in for a 14-yard gain. I like this play a lot because it shows how good Dak has become at quickly reading the defense and anticipating where his receiver is going to be. Both Dak and Cooper read the leverage, the two deep defenders on the left, and they both realized that Cooper should be breaking inside on his dig as opposed to cutting his route more vertically. So not only was the throw good and exactly where it needed to be, this shows us just how good Dak has gotten at reading the defense. The other thing I want to point out is how Dak felt the defensive line shift towards his right. This is why he shifted subtly to his left. He wanted to make sure he bought himself a window. Overall, I just really like this play. The next one I want to look at is one of Cooper's touchdowns. Before we do that though, I want to thank Mack Weldon for being the sponsor of this week's video. If you aren't familiar with Mack Weldon, they're a clothing brand that is reinventing men's basic wear. They are so much more than just underwear. Their full collection includes things like t-shirts, polos, button-ups, but other things like shorts, pants, swimwear, and so much more. From Mack Weldon, I purchased 4 items from their website, which was so incredibly easy to use. I ordered a sweatshirt, a pair of sweatpants, and 2 pairs of sweat shorts. For me, it's all about the casual fit that I can wear comfortably around the house while also having the style to wear on the go. For example, this past weekend I was traveling to see family in St. Louis. I wore the sweat shorts for basically the entire weekend. They fit well and were super comfortable even when it was hot and humid outside. Now, for a limited time only, you can get 20% off your first order if you visit mackweldon.com/samgold and enter promo code SAMGOLD. This is a great deal exclusive to this channel, so make sure you check it out. So before the break, I mentioned the touchdown. This play happened at the end of the third quarter. The Cowboys are once again in a shotgun trips bunch formation. This time they ran a shallow cross concept combined with a smash on the right. The good news about the smash is that the corner route on the right is great against man coverage. That's what the Bucs were playing here. I want you to pay close attention to when Dak released his throw. Cooper didn't even break on his route by the time the ball left his hand. Dak knew where Cooper was going to be, and he knew that Cooper was going to adjust to his pass, which was purposely thrown more towards the sideline. This was in an effort to allow Cooper to beat his defender back towards the goal line. That's what happened here, and this touchdown brought the Cowboys back within 2 points. Outside of these throws, the other throw I want to talk about is interception. Let's talk about that next. What we have here is called the double post concept. The goal of this play is for Amari Cooper to clear out the safety and for CeeDee Lamb to find space behind the linebackers. If the defense plays this well, and by well I mean if the inside linebackers drop deep or the deep safety gives a murky read, then this becomes a more difficult throw. However, if Dak can fit this ball between those 2 spots, which is your high-quality NFL throw, this can be deadly against every single defense. This is what I saw. Yes, the pass was slightly in front and slightly too high for Lamb, but it simply had to be. Much lower or behind, and the inside linebacker could have broken it up. Unfortunately for Dak though, this pass bounced off Lamb's hands and the ball went right to a Bucs defender. Beyond these 3 plays, the main takeaway I had was that Dak did a great job all evening with the quick game. Hitches, for example, was used all throughout the match to a great effect. He identified the correct side before the snap, and then Dak executed the throw at chest height pretty much every throw. Yes, some did get away from him, especially up the sideline, but nothing was consistently bad. The other thing I saw was that the design rollouts also worked well too. Dak looked fluent on the move, and his passes seemed in stride exactly where they needed to be. Now, going into this game, I was a big concern for how his injury last season would affect his mindset or how he played. But honestly, I didn't really see any hesitation or issue. He stepped into all of his throws when he could, he made a couple of great throws knowing he was about to get hit, and generally speaking, he looked like normal Dak, which is really great to see. The final thing I'll say about this game is that the one thing that always impressed me about Dak is that he's very good at the in-rhythm throws. Taking a 3-step or 5-step drop and then throwing off his plant foot, these throws always seem to hit their mark. Using those play calls with these receivers is honestly a cheat code. Now, before we wrap up this video, I want to spend some time talking about the game plan. Over the past few days, much has been made about the fact that the Cowboys threw 58 times and they only ran the ball 14. In fact, on Twitter, you get a lot of comments that say, well, whenever Dak throws 50 plus times, the Cowboys always lose. Well, no duh, that's the case. Anytime you throw that many times is because you're down and not because you didn't establish the run. Let me explain this a little bit further. First, the Bucs had the #1 defense against the run last season. They weren't top 5, they weren't top 3, they were the outright best when you look at DVOA, and it wasn't even close. They only allowed 3.6 yards per carry last season. Due to this phenomenal run-stopping unit with guys like Vita Vea and Ndamukong Suh, Levante David, Shaq Barrett, Devin White, you get the picture, it's pretty obvious why the Cowboys threw so many passes. Forcing the run against this team would have been stupid. It would have led to stall drives, and simply put, it would have been a terrible strategy to have been more balanced in this game. The next thing you have to consider is the Cowboys did actually try to run the ball. Kellen Moore called a bunch of run-pass options, and the Bucs purposely took away the run portion of those plays. They wanted Dak to throw it because they thought their pass rush could get there, and they also thought their pass coverage could stop the Cowboys receivers. Well, this obviously didn't happen as Dak threw for 7 yards per attempt. Instead of running it, the Cowboys used a quick game and some screens as an extension to the short attack. This helped them move the chains all night. In addition to all this, and I'm going to beat a dead horse here, the Cowboys' offensive line actually held up for the vast majority of this game. Dak was sacked just one time, and he was only under pressure on 32% of his dropbacks. That's honestly pretty impressive. Finally, the last point I'm going to make is the Cowboys still did score 29 points. Their offense was fine in this game, minus a few stalled drives in the red zone against this elite defense. Oh, and let's not forget that Greg the Leg missed 4 kicks. If you exclude the 60-yarder because that's a low percentage shot, he left 7 points on the field all by himself. So, in conclusion, with all that being said, no, the Cowboys didn't lose because of their offensive game plan. They didn't lose because of Dak Prescott. They didn't lose because they didn't run the ball more than 14 times. They lost because of all the reasons I just said, and many would even throw that terrible missed call on the Bucs offense pass interference late in this game too. Regardless, and I want to move on quickly before that turns into a big debate, the simple truth is that none of those reasons are because of the Cowboys threw 50 times. Them throwing 50 times is why they were in this game in the first place. We need to look at this loss in a different lens. What I saw as a Washington football fan is a team that honestly scares me. Their offense with Dak Prescott at the helm, they look ridiculous, and I can't wait to see more. Well, that's all I have for you. I'm going to do another video this week, most likely looking at Russell Wilson against the Colts. We'll see if I have time, but that's what should be on tap on this channel. Make sure you subscribe, you can support me directly through Patreon, and let me know what you want to see in the future. Thanks again for watching, and you can also find me on Twitter at Samuel R. Gold.